infusions, are they better than tea? And what is an herbal infusion anyways? Hello, my name is Amanda and I'm from the Wild Herbal, and today we are going to tackle this problem, the difference between an herbal infusion and a tea, which one is better and why it matters. So first, if you're going to need 2 mason jars, a water pot, preferably one that you can actually set the temperature on, not necessary, or you can just use a thermometer, a scale, some herbs of choice, and some sweetener. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of honey in the bottom of my jar. We are making a 32-ounce infusion, so I'm going to put about a tablespoon or so. The next thing I'm going to do, my pot has a tea basket. If you don't have a tea basket that goes inside your pot, you could also just use a filter or a tea ball or some cheesecloth. But I'm going to put this on my scale and I'm going to measure out my herbs. This is where the first difference comes in between a tea and an herbal infusion, is the amount of herb used. So I am making 32 ounces of herbal infusion, so I'm going to use 1 ounce of tea. So this is a tea that I have that I got from Dr. Christopher. It is called Calc tea. It's really, really good. And right now we're focusing on building up our calcium stores with some of my kids as they're growing. So this is an herbal infusion that I'm going to make for them to take, that they can drink it during the day. It can be taken hot or cold. So after I measure out 1 ounce, I'm going to head and turn my scale off. We're gonna put it in our pot, and I'm going to fill this with 32 ounces of water and put it in my pot and go ahead and set the temperature. So I'm gonna set this temperature at 104. So this is the second difference between an infusion and a tea. So the first difference was the amount of herb used, and the second difference is the steep time. So I'm going to allow this to come to temperature at 104, and this is still considered a hot infusion, but then I'm not gonna drink it right away. I'm gonna let it sit at least 4 hours, but preferably overnight. The longer it sits, the stronger it gets. So the longer an herb sits, the water is able to break down those cell walls, allowing the minerals and the vitamins to escape into your water menstruum. So that makes it a stronger infusion. So if you want something to really get a lot of minerals into your system, you're gonna want to go with an infusion, and 104 or less, or you can even do it a little bit hotter than that, depending on if you want B vitamins or not. But minerals are pretty resistant to the heat, so they don't get lost as easily as vitamins do. But if you want something that's really high in vitamins, like your vitamin C especially, then you're gonna wanna do in a completely cold infusion. And for that, you are just going to put, for a cold infusion, you're gonna put your 1 ounces of herbs, you're gonna measure it out in here, you're gonna put some just room temperature water on top, and you're gonna cover it with a cheesecloth and let it set somewhere. And then when it comes time for you to use it, you're gonna strain out your herb, and then normally for a cold infusion, I'll just add a little bit, I'll mix honey with a little bit of warm water, and then I'll add it to my infusion so it's a little bit sweetened. So now that this has come to temperature, I'm gonna pour this water into my mason jar, and I'm gonna stir in my honey. I'm gonna take out my tea basket, and I'm actually gonna set it inside my mason jar. And it sits just right in there. I'm gonna mix my herb around a little bit. And I will cover this with some cloth, and I'm gonna let this sit until tomorrow. Okay, so my infusion has set for about 20 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and strain it and get it ready to give to my kids for this evening. So I have all of my herbs in my strainer. I'm just gonna take a spoon and I'm gonna squeeze out as much liquid as possible. So now your cold infusion, because I already have it sweetened, it is all ready. And sorry, it's not a cold infusion, it was warm infusion that we did. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the fridge and get it ready for tonight's supper to give to my kids. So an infusion's lifespan is about 2 days. So you definitely need to use it in 2 days, or if you want it to last longer, you could take it and you can freeze it in ice cubes, and you can use it like that, which I've done in the past too, to make really nice infused herbal teas like throughout the summer. You can make those and even put different colors to make it really nice and fun. But that is an infusion. So some really good herbs that are good for infusions are going to be your tonic herbs. Your herbs that are rich in your minerals for the most part. So like your alfalfa, your oat straw, your even white oak bark, all that one's a little bit astringent. It's really good as well. Nettle, red clover, chickweed, plantain, dandelion, elderberries, raspberry leaf. All of these herbs are herbs that can be taken on a daily basis, and they're really good tonic herbs that are full of minerals. So if you're doing a hot infusion, you're gonna get all of those minerals and some of your B vitamins depending on the temperature. If you're doing a cold infusion, you're gonna get all of your minerals and all of your vitamins. So depending on the time of year and what you're aiming for to get out of your herbs, either a hot or a cold infusion is good. So a tea, on the other hand, like we said, the difference between an infusion and a tea is the amount of herb that is used and the length of the steep time. So a tea, you're just going to use a tablespoon depending on like how fluffy. So these herbs, the kelp tea, is pretty fluffy. So I would use a whole tablespoon of this for 8 ounces of water. So 2 tablespoons in a 16 ounce for a tea. So if I'm using that in a tea, then I'm gonna use hot water over a couple tablespoons and some sweetener, and I'm only gonna let it sit like 10 minutes. But an infusion has a little bit more of your minerals and vitamins, and if you just really are trying to boost up your minerals and vitamins, then a cold or a hot infusion is gonna be a lot better than a cold or hot tea. So that is the main difference between an infusion and a tea. So I'm curious if you've ever made an infusion, and if so, what are some of your favorite herbs to infuse? But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.